we're going to go ahead and get started. I know it's Friday evening, and you folks probably have things that you'd like to do, so I want to get y'all out of here as soon as we can. But of course, we don't want to skimp out on recognizing our folks up here. So if I can just have everybody rise, please, for the presentation of colors by the Lakeland High School ROTC, and then we'll have an invocation.
Carry, colors, forward, march, left, 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 column left, march, mark time, march, colors, halt, center, face, post, center, face, post, right, face, post, present, arms.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Forward, arms. Right, face. Forward, march. Left, 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 right, 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 left, 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 right. Team.
If you'll remain standing for just a moment for our invocation, we're going to have Lee Brackman from Rochelle School of the Arts to give it.
Will you please join me in a moment of prayer? Our Heavenly Father, we come to you in a spirit of gratefulness today. Grateful for the police department, for what they do for our community, and for putting on this program of recognition. Grateful to the parents, family members, and friends that are in this room for their leadership at home and their understanding of the importance of instilling good morals and good values in the young men and women that are before us today. And most importantly, grateful for them, for these students that are here today, for them making the choice to do the right thing, sometimes when it's very hard, sometimes when it goes against what their friends would want them to do. And we're so grateful that they've made that right choice. Thank you for the beautiful weather. Thank you for this special time. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. You may all be seated. It's going to take just a few minutes to make some recognitions of the folks that are here in the room with us today. And when I call your name, would you please just stand? After I'm done, you can sit back down. You don't have to keep standing. We're going to start with our mayor, Howard Wiggs. He's in the back of the room. He's already standing. Assistant City Manager, Sean Sherrouse. We have Chief Larry Giddens. You may sit back down. No, I said you do not have to remain standing. Captain Rick Taylor. Captain Steve Walker. Captain Hans Lehman. Lieutenant Mike Moran. Lieutenant Marvin Tarver. Sergeant Sean Finney. to our staff members. And now I want to recognize our school resource officers. These ladies and gentlemen here do an amazing job in the schools that they are at. And many of them have nominated students here today. We actually have a celebrity in the back there, and I'm going to talk about him in just a second. Maybe y'all saw him on TV here recently. So, but let me just get to it. We have Officer Wesley from Lakeland High School. Now, actually, he's a bit of a celebrity himself because he's been in the news quite a few times here recently himself. You know, and that little dance number thing, amazing. So our next one is Officer Dagon Leach. He is also at Lakeland High School. All over social media, all over the news. I mean, he's one of our newest members in our unit, and I'm telling you what, he just jumped right in with all 4 feet. I mean, with both feet, and you know, he just went right with it. So he's an awesome person to have in our unit. So our next one is Officer Dave Torres from Southwest Middle School. Dave's awesome too. Not quite the celebrity, but he's awesome. We have Officer Doris Diaz from Sleepy Hill Middle School. She stays too busy to get into the news. We have Officer Walter Dennis in the very back, our big man there. He has a whole lot of schools. I'm not going to list them all. It'd take all day. So he stays quite busy as well. We have also some folks from the school board. And we are very, very happy to have you all here today. We're going to start with Mr. Lee Brackman. He's the assistant principal at Rochelle. We have Teresa Miller. She is a teacher at Rochelle. We have Mrs. Pfeiffer. She is a teacher at Rochelle. We have assistant principal Alonzo Thomas from Southwest Middle School. Hey, it was inevitable. I was going to mess up at least one name today. Okay, we also have Miss Katrina Lynn. She is a teacher at Southwest Middle. We have Mrs. Talent, also a teacher at Southwest Middle. Do I have any other school board members that I did not get as they came in?
We're all from Sleepy Hill.
Why don't y'all stand and just say your names?
June White, Lacey Sweet, Laura Croft.
Welcome, they're from Sleepy Hill. We have, let me see, we have one of our board members here, Alicia Daniels. If you'll stand up. Now, our board members, I do not pity them at all. No, I really do. I actually do. They have such a job to do because when all of the nominations come in, they get sent to the board members. But the board members know nothing about the child who's being nominated. They only see what that child has done. They don't know age, school, race, sex, nothing about them. So when they get all of these nominations, they have to read through them. And they have to pick 10. I tell them, just give me 10. That's all you can do. And, you know, I always get emails back telling me what a difficult job it was. So I really appreciate our board members, and I really appreciate Ms. Daniels coming out for our ceremony today. So let's give her another round of applause. Of course, we can't forget the parents, the grandparents, the brothers and the sisters. You guys have done an amazing job with these children up here. Because if it weren't for you instilling in these kids what it is to do the right thing, then they wouldn't be where they are either. So you've done an amazing job, and thank you very much. Give yourselves a hand. Everybody in this room has played some role in these children's lives, in making them what they are today. So, and I know that you will continue to do that as they get older. And ladies and gentlemen up here, you are the stars of our show. So welcome, thank you, for all that you have done. And let's give these guys and ladies here. Oh, and I want to thank Robin Tillett. She is our social media specialist here, and she's our photographer, and she does a wonderful job. And if you guys are not already friends of ours on Facebook with Lakeland Police Department, please make sure that you friend us, follow us, because you're probably going to see these stories in the very, very near future. So, all right, let's get down to why we're here. Let's hear what these folks have done. So, if I can have the chief come up to assist me. When I call your name, if you will stand up, we're going to read what you have done, and then you're going to step right up here with the chief, okay?
All the same.
We're going to start here, and we're going to work our way down. Cool. Only one is different. Okay? All right, David Clements. David Clements is a 7th grader at Lawton Childs Middle Academy, and his mother is Dr. Hannah Clements. David was nominated by his SRO, Officer Walter Dennis, and for a very good reason, I might add. On January 27th of this year, David noticed that a classmate, who is a friend of his, was given a pass to leave the classroom. When his friend hadn't returned after an extended period, David asked for a pass to go check on him. When David found his friend in the boys' restroom, the boy was anxiously pacing back and forth, breathing heavily, and he appeared to have something in his hand. David asked his friend, "Are you okay?" And the response he received didn't make any sense. So David went back to the classroom, and he thought through the events of the day, because that wasn't the only event. But after he returned to the class, he heard from another student that the friend was planning something, and he was given the names of 2 students that the friend had wanted to hurt. When the friend came back to class, David decided to keep a close eye on him because he was worried about him. It was a good thing, too, because David saw him slip something into his pocket. The child then took it back out and put it in his jacket pocket. Everything that had happened up to that point had David extremely concerned, and so heading into the next class period, David went and reported the information to Mr. Bruno, the Dean of Students. Mr. Bruno made contact with the student and recovered a 3.5-inch blade. And upon further investigation, it was discovered that the student was using the blade to cut himself while at home and at school. David's actions are to be commended because he's not done, had he not done so, then his friend could have caused further harm to himself or to others. Congratulations, David. Our next recipient, Jaden Cologne. Jaden is a 2nd grader at Sleepy Hill Elementary School. His dad and stepmom are Francisco Rivera Jr. and Liberty Parrish. Jaden was nominated by Mrs. Sweet, a teacher at his school, for his actions a few weeks ago. Mrs. Sweet said that she was working her morning duty station in the cafeteria when Jaden came up to her to report a very serious matter. A student who possibly had a knife. Jaden proceeded to tell Mrs. Sweet that the student had the knife and he was showing it off on the bus to the other riders. Once that information was turned over to the administration and it was followed up on, the student was indeed found to have a knife in his possession at school. Now, it's not known why the child brought the knife to school, but thankfully it was found before anything bad could happen. Jaden's bravery and selflessness to report his classmate is very much to be commended. Way to go, Jaden. Next is Caleb, is it Einzig or Einzig? Okay. And what grade? 8th. Caleb is an 8th grader at Sleepy Hill Middle School, and his mother is Amanda Einzig. Caleb was nominated by one of his teachers, Tiffany King. Mrs. King nominated Caleb for his swift action during an altercation that took place in her classroom. She stated that a fight suddenly broke out one day in the middle of class, and despite his size, Caleb sprung into action to assist in pulling the boys apart. One of the boys involved in the fight was his friend, And while trying to hold his friend, yes, it was a ball fight with his friend. And while he was trying to hold his friend back, he himself was slammed into the wall and was injured in the process. Caleb said that he didn't mind that he got hurt, he just wanted to stop his friend from making a major mistake and having a huge consequence because his friend's a good kid. For a young man to put himself in personal danger to protect another is commendable and brave. It's not common for kids today to stand up for others, let alone place themselves in harm's way. To have done that speaks volumes about Caleb and his willingness to put others before himself. That is indeed a rare trait, especially for someone so young, and so he is very deserving of this award. Congratulations. Next, Ty Harriel. Ty is an 8th grader at Southwest Middle School, and his guardians are Tracy and Randy Duncan. Ty was nominated by his teacher, Katrina Lynn, and she says she was honored to do so. This is what she wrote in her nomination. Ty is a hero. On March 8th, Ty was tardy coming to my 3rd period class, but that put him in the right place at the right time. We have 2 profoundly deaf classes at Southwest Middle School, and these students face challenges that many of us cannot comprehend. They deal with the normal growing issues that other teenagers face, but these students cannot hear, and it makes it difficult to communicate. Therefore, they become distressed at times. Some get frustrated and yell. She said, I know this because we hear the frustration from time to time in our building. March 8th was no different. She said, I heard a loud scream and assumed that it was a frustrated student from that class. Obviously, Ty heard it too, and he stopped. She says, I did not want Ty to get involved or make matters worse. So I encouraged him to keep walking towards my class, and I even said, come on, Ty, don't get involved. His response was immediate. No, Mrs. Lynn, I can't leave this lady. She's getting hurt. And his face said there was more than I could see. Only Ty, from his angle, could see what was really going on. One of the deaf students had become extremely frustrated, and he had his teacher, Mrs. Talent, pinned against a wall and was slamming his body weight into her repeatedly. Ty knew this was wrong, and he stepped in to help. Remember, he was tardy to class, so no one else was around. Ty was literally a first responder to this dangerous situation. Ty very calmly put his hand between the young man and Mrs. Talent. Upon doing so, the young man retreated into the classroom and shut the door, putting a barrier between himself and Mrs. Talent. Ty stood with Mrs. Talent until another adult could get there. It was only seconds, but it could have been so much worse if he had not stepped in when he did. In a world where we do not want to get involved and we do not want to put ourselves out there, it is astonishing that Ty would be willing to put himself in harm's way to protect this adult that is not even his teacher, simply because he knew it was the right thing to do. Mrs. Talent did receive some injuries, but thanks to Ty, the extent of those injuries was minimized by his intervention. This is proof that it doesn't matter what your age, you can help protect others. All you have to do is step up, and Ty really stepped up this time. Thanks, Ty. I'm going to give him a superhero cape. Our next recipient, Celeste Howell. Celeste is an 8th grader at Rochelle School of the Arts, and her parents are Thomas and Anna Howell. Celeste was nominated by her guidance counselor, Sue Wallace, for her unselfishness. Mrs. Wallace wrote in her nomination, it was the day of our annual School Renaissance Festival, and the students needed to purchase tickets to participate in all the booth activities that were set up all over the school grounds. When Celeste came in that morning, she says, I was on hall duty, and Celeste came up to me and said, Mrs. Wallace, I need to talk to you privately. I just wanted to know if you know of any students that need money to buy some tickets. You see, I have $10, and I would like to share my money with someone who can't afford to buy tickets. Ms. Wallace said, I told her that I didn't know of anyone at that time, but I would keep my eyes and ears open. Students were lined up 3 deep to buy their last-minute tickets, so Mrs. Wallace says I went to help. I noticed a little 4th grade girl crying and frantically searching through her backpack. I went up to her and I asked why she was crying. She told me that she'd lost her ticket money that morning that her parents had given her. Celeste was in line to buy her tickets also. So I went and I told her that I found someone and explained that this little girl had lost her money. Celeste said, "Here, Miss Wallace, get change for this $10 bill and give her $5. I want to help her." She said, I thanked Celeste, and when I gave the money to the little girl and told her about what Celeste had done, she was overwhelmed. She went to Celeste to thank her personally, and they hugged each other. Celeste then told the child, "Now go have a good time." The untold story of this, though, is that Celeste doesn't usually have extra money to do those extra things like the Renaissance Festival, so she could empathize with the child. The mere fact that she took half of the money that she was fortunate to have at that time and gave it to a complete stranger that was hurting, that's what makes this story special. You have a heart of gold, kiddo. See what I mean when I say I'm glad I'm not the one who has to pick these? And they're all just as good. Our next recipient is Sabrina Jean-Jacques. Did I say that right? No, I still messed it up. That's 2 strikes. 3 strikes and I'm out. That means Doris has to come up and take over. Sabrina is a 3rd grader at Rochelle School of the Arts. Her parents are Benson and Curleen, whatever that last name is. She was nominated by her teacher, Teresa Miller, who was very impressed with Sabrina's honesty. Mrs. Miller said that during a 3rd grade field trip in December to Skate World, Sabrina came up to her and said she needed some help. She said that she found $15 on the ground, and she knew that some student would be very upset about having lost it. Students like to get small souvenirs on these field trips, but the money probably would have also been needed to buy food. She wanted to be sure that the student who'd lost the money got it back. Now, she could have kept the money and spent it herself, but instead she had enough empathy and honesty to want the child who'd lost the money to remember the field trip in a positive way. She also didn't want the child to go without eating. Both of those are qualities we need to see more of today. Sabrina is a great role model to her peers, her teachers, and everyone around her, whether she knows them or not. Congratulations on a job well done. Our next recipient is Emily John. Emily is an 8th grader at Sleepy Hill Middle School, and her father is Jeffrey John. Emily was nominated by Officer Walter Dennis. Officer Dennis had very good reason for nominating Emily. He wrote that he and Officer Katina Lewis, who unfortunately didn't make it today, were conducting a weapons investigation at another school. The student involved in that investigation was a friend of Emily's from elementary school, and they recently reconnected. Emily told us that during the course of their communication through social media, the student sent her pictures of himself with knives. Some of those pictures also showed the friend with cuts on his arm, and he remarked that he'd made the cuts himself. He was self-harming. In addition to those pictures, he'd sent others. One was of a noose, and in others, he had the noose around his neck with the other end attached to a fan, a ceiling fan. Emily said she was very concerned about her friend's mental state, so she took some action. She used the internet in a positive way. Let me get an amen. Okay. And she sought out a phone number for her friend's mother. She used that information and texted the mother to make her aware of what was going on with her son. Based on her actions, the friend is now getting the help that he needs. Emily didn't wait for someone else to take action. She did it herself. And by doing so, she may very well have saved the life of her friend. That kind of friendship is priceless. And so are you. Next is Gabriella Perron. Gabby is a 9th grader at Harrison School of the Arts, and her mother is Katia Perron. Gabby was nominated by her school resource officer, Officer Oscar Wesley. On January 18th, while having lunch at school, a student who is a friend of Gabby's started turning pale and her eyes started to roll back. At this point, Gabriella could see her friend, who was standing up, falling towards the ground. She immediately went into action and grabbed her friend, keeping her head from hitting the ground and preventing her possibly from more serious injuries. Gabriella then calmly told another student that her friend was having a seizure and requested that she go and summons a staff member from Harrison School of the Arts. At this point, Gabriella went into action. She stated that she was aware of her friend's seizures and wanted to get her to her side in case she needed to vomit. During this time, she not only stayed calm, she stayed with the patient until medical personnel arrived on scene. And because of her quick actions, her calm demeanor, and knowledge of basic first aid regarding seizures, the student is back to school and doing well. It was determined later that the student had had approximately 9 small seizures before EMS even arrived on scene. They said Gabrielle's knowledge and quick action to render aid to a student in need is why she should receive this award. I believe that not only did she render aid, but she saved a life as well. Once EMS arrived on scene, they commented that the student who first noticed the medical emergency and acted upon it did an outstanding job because the child was placed perfectly on her side. Now, you can because I would recommend it. You're a natural. Okay, next is Emily Talavera. Emily is a 3rd grader at Sleepy Hill Elementary, and her mother is Socorro Martinez. Emily was nominated by Mrs. Sweet, a teacher at the school. She says that Emily was very instrumental in helping resolve a situation before it could get out of hand. One of Emily's classmates, who has previously been quite a handful, but has made huge strides this year in his behavior, was very angry about some comments made on the bus by a schoolmate. The boy kept trying to confront the other child, and Emily knew the likelihood of this happening would be a problem. Rather than standing by and, again, not getting involved, as is the norm, Emily went up to the boy and pulled him aside to keep him from the potential fight. She spoke very calmly to him and reasoned with him. Little mama there. She pulled him gently by the arm, telling him, come on, and that he didn't need to go near him now. She was successful in keeping the boys apart and preventing a probable physical altercation. Her calm demeanor and willingness to step up and put herself in potential harm's way. Any officer who's ever gotten in the middle of a fight knows how easy it is to get hit. So she put herself in harm's way to protect another child. It's totally commendable. By doing the right thing herself, she was able to get the other child to do the right thing. Now that's what we call a win-win. Congratulations. I should have given her 2 bags. All right, last but not least is Janasha Williams. Janasha is a 7th grader at Rochelle School of the Arts, and her parents are Jesus Williams and Joyce Webster. Janasha was nominated by me. When I heard about her actions, I knew that Janasha was the perfect candidate for this award. In February, Janasha found a man's wallet on the bus she was riding to school that morning. Being such a small item, she could have easily concealed it in her backpack and kept it to go through it later and see what she could get out of it. However, that never crossed her mind, and she immediately took the wallet to the office when she arrived at school. She turned the wallet in to the assistant principal, who then brought it to me and asked if I could locate the owner. Janasha could have kept it, but she knew that would be wrong, and that's just not who she is. She tries to always do the right thing, and this was no exception. Janasha demonstrated a trait we would like to see in all people. Of course, if that were the case, then they wouldn't need us. And, well, that'd be okay too, I guess. But the owner was tracked down. He was a student at another school. He and his parents were very thankful for Janasha's actions, and they were also impressed that everything was still in the wallet. Lastly, they were thankful that they didn't have to go through the hassle of having to get everything replaced. Now, on top of that, just this week alone, Janasha has found money twice and brought it to me and turned it in, to myself or to Mr. Brackman. So, I mean, money. I mean, who doesn't want to put money in their pocket? But she didn't. She brought it to me both times. So that just speaks volumes about Janasha. So way to go. No, just wait. Okay, so now we've heard all the stories. We know what all these kids have done. We see that they've got these pretty shiny bags and everything. Usually, we have one that stands out above the rest with our board members. So each time we have a top winner. And this time, I am proud to say that our top winner is Ty Harriel. Ty, go stand up, please. No photo op.
Wait, stay there, Ty. I didn't get when I was filming, sorry. Okay, did I get your good side?
Okay, awesome. All right, you can have a seat, honey. I love it when I get the boss and chief around. It's so fun. Yeah, it only happens a couple times a year, but it's awesome. So in our bags, the kids have gotten a lot of things, lots of little goodies. And that is all thanks to our sponsors, okay? So as I read some of these things off, you're going to know who our sponsors are. Also, if you haven't gotten one of the programs, I think Officer Diaz has some in the back. It has a list of our sponsors on the back as well. So, but just real quick, just so you know, of course they've got the certificate. They've got the Olympic-style medal. Thank you to Bomar Trophy Shop. Beef O'Brady's has a gift certificate in there for them. They've got a free dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, get them hot when they just melt in their piece on the side. And by the way, my Rochellians, I like donuts. I'm a cop. They got gift cards to the Family Fun Center. They've got a certificate for ice cream from Cold Stone. They've got Big Deal meal certificates from Sunny South. They got a sandwich and drink certificate from Jimbo's Barbecue. They've got certificates for free fries and milkshakes from Burger 21. They've got certificate for admission and skate rental for two to Skate World. Certificates for a free chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, and they got the cute little cow too. They've got certificates from Tijuana Flats, Chipotle, Fred's. Fred's. They have certificates for 2 buffets and 2 drinks. They've got some fun bucks from Red Elephant. Now, I will say this. One of you did not get a Chipotle certificate, so I gave you an extra Fred certificate. So somewhere something happened. Anyway, so you got like a family of 4. Y'all are all going out to dinner tonight. Okay, also our top winner will also get $20 in certificates from Outback Steakhouse. They will get a $20 certificate from Beefs as opposed to a $10, and they also got a $25 gift certificate to Grillsmith. So let's thank our sponsors. And I have talked absolutely enough, so I'm going to let the chief come up and say a few words before we finish up here today. You're welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon. You know, I don't know. It's hard to follow Lori when you step up here to the podium. So could we give her a round of applause? I want to start by telling everybody thank you very much for coming. And I'm going to change it up how I usually talk, because in the last 4 or 5 years that I've done this, this is one of the, you know, I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard about courage. I've heard integrable acts, finding money and returning it. But today, there was something special, because all of these are just really, really good. And I felt really sorry for the board members that had to make this choice, because although Ty is very deserving, because you put your life on the line for another that's here in the audience, but everybody did a really, really good job. The thing with the knife and the cutting and on the internet, and just the way that y'all have distinguished yourselves. Your parents, your teachers, your chief of police are so proud of you. So let's give them a round of applause. These guys wouldn't be sitting up here if it wasn't for you parents. And I can't thank you enough for the way that you're raising your children in today's society. And as I looked across the room, as some of these were being read, I looked at some of the teachers. And you know, you guys face an incredibly tough job in an incredibly increasing, challenging times with everything that's put upon you guys. I can't say enough for what our teachers do, and that you actually really risk your lives. You know, when I go out and I risk my life, I usually have a bulletproof vest on. I have 2 on today. That's for the weight that you see, and also I carry a pistol. And you guys don't, and you put your lives on the line every day. But you're there every day, day in and day out, modeling the right behavior so that we can turn out the next generation of kids that are going to be our leaders in our future. So would everybody just give themselves a round of applause? I want to tell all our SROs, because I know that the job that they do every day, and right there with you teachers, they're sitting right in there, and they face a lot of the same challenges, a lot of the same struggles, and they do an incredible job. And on behalf of the City of Lakeland, I know that the mayor was here, Mr. Sherrouse is here representing the city manager's office. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you do day in and day out. And guys, I am so very, very proud of you. Thank you very much.
I want to thank not only my immediate supervisors, but our staff as well, because if they didn't give me the flexibility to do this, we wouldn't have this program. And in case you haven't noticed, this is a program that's really near and dear to my heart. I enjoy doing it. It takes some time, but it's so worth it because, I mean, this right here is our future. And we have to put as much time into them as needed to get them to where they are right here. So as a mom, I get it. As a school resource officer, I get it. And I was speaking with a young man over at University of Central Florida yesterday, and he was doing a project, and he wanted to take my picture for his project, and he puts it on Instagram. And he asked me, you know, what do I do for a living? And so I told him, and you know, he asked me, you know, what I do with that, and he told me how much he appreciated the job that I did. But he asked me, he said, what is it like? You know, he said, have you always been in the schools? I said, no, I was a patrol officer before that. I said, the 13 years I've been in the schools versus the 16 years I was on the streets, I said, have been so much more rewarding. I said, because many times as a patrol officer, you are reactive. And as a school resource officer, we get to be proactive. And I think every one of my fellow resource officers back there would agree. We get the opportunity to be proactive. We get an opportunity to get to know the kids a lot of times. Now, we don't always get to know the ones that are up here so well because, well, we don't spend a lot of time with them. But nonetheless, we get to establish that rapport with those kids. We get to sit down with them and talk. We get to mentor with them. And we have the opportunity to change the direction that a child's life is going. You know, again, it takes all of us, and we are a small component, but that is one of the things that I love so much about the job that I get to do. You know, they say if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's true, I do, and I love my job, and I think every SRO in here does too, because there are people probably in this room who would go, ain't no way I'd work with kids in the school, ain't no way. So my husband is one of those, and he's a police officer, and he's like, So, but I just wanted to say that. And thank you for giving each of us the opportunity to spend time with your kids and to get to know them. It's really an honor for me. I'm not going to speak for them, but if I know them well enough, I think it is for them as well. So, having said all of that, we're going to wrap this up very quickly. Before we go, though, okay, I need all of the kids, we're going to stay up here, we're going to remove the chairs, we're going to get some photos. SROs, please, if you will also stay, because I want to get some good pictures for our upcoming pamphlet that we're making, so don't run off. Please follow us on, like I said, on the Facebook page, and Ms. Tillett's going to be posting their stories. You can share them on Facebook with your friends and your family. It will also be on, what channels are we using now that this airs on? Do you have any idea? I know it used to be, well, Bright House or Spectrum channel 643. Do you know if that's still on there? Yes. Okay, and our FiOS channel is at 43 also? I believe it is. So you can share that with friends and family as well who maybe couldn't be here or who are out of state. So, also, next month you will be receiving an invitation for our end of the year banquet. You don't want to miss it. I'm not going to give any other details, but you don't want to miss it. You're going to want to be there. So folks, You tell your parents, we are not missing the banquet, okay? Everybody say it with me. We're not missing the banquet. Louder, now tell them.
We are not missing the banquet.
Okay, now y'all, they've done their job, now it's up to y'all. Okay, thank you all for coming, I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you all next month. All right.